Right, a massive welcome back to Lawrence Wright with Chemtrails and Flat Earth Revisited. Controversial and entertaining. Loz pokes our beliefs and encroaches on our comfort zones with two subjects. First, the modern phenomenon known as chemtrails, an observable phenomenon carried out in most countries' airspace and denied by aviation authorities and governments, probably because they can, using obscure emergency powers, maybe. Certain leaks as to their origins and purpose have come to light recently, along with their new name, geoengineering. Did we consent to this? Probably. Second, the flat earth. Prepare to have your beliefs challenged by Loz, who brings certain facts not widely known to upset the apple cart in a way only Loz does. Please welcome Lawrence Wright.
Right, okay, welcome to New Horizons. I was here 4 years ago and I did a chat about chemtrails then, and since then I've decided to take a second look at it, and all is not what it appears. And I think the truth community, if you want to call it that, have been misled. So we're going to look at what are they spraying, why are they spraying, and who is spraying. We'll start off with the what. Give me some chemicals or products that you think are being rained down upon us. Barium.
Aluminium.
Aluminium. Any more? Aluminium, oxide, barium.
Unknown microscopic particles.
Strontium. Okay.
Nanoparticles.
Okay. These are the three that they focus on most. Aluminium, barium, and strontium. Now, when I was here last time, I showed you a clip from the documentary What in the World Are They Spraying, which is the one that's been seen by most people, because they raised money to have a budget so they could go to Hawaii and do some filming over there. I'm going to show you a few clips on that now, and then I'm going to point out the errors that they've put in it. These are deliberate errors to mislead you. So if you just bear with me a second.
The sky is a very dirty look to it. There's not the white cloud blue sky that we had only a few years ago, but it looks like there's some sort of massive industrial activity or forest fires burning over there, and we see that typically every night. You see, even down to ground level, the clarity drops off significantly, and we don't see that except for the days when we have these long, lingering trails that spread and cover the whole sky, and on certain days you can see these trails actually dropping vertically like a veil. We assume the particulates are descending, and we have the test to prove that we are being inundated with levels of aluminum and particulates that are literally tens of thousands of times what would already be considered high. So we're not talking about exposure to a slight percentage higher of these toxic materials. We're talking about quantities, for example, off the side of Mount Shasta. If you can pan back, that's a landmark in Northern California, considered to be a pristine water source. Aluminum or snow sample off the side of Mount Shasta tested 61,000 parts per billion.
This is just ordinary snow water, and people are drinking this stuff when they're hiking on the mountain. And remember, government action is required at 1,000. This is 61 times over the government limit, and our hikers are drinking this poisonous water on Mount Shasta Mountain itself. God. Barium, 83. Strontium, 383.
So this summer, the people climbing are drinking poison.
Basically. I certainly wouldn't want to drink 61,000 micrograms per liter of aluminum.
So the big one there was the aluminium at 61,000 parts per billion. The problem with that was that the sample they took was not from water. Let me show you what it actually was.
Water. And we tested that crust, and it was aluminum and barium that after a year and a half's accumulation had 375,000 parts per billion of aluminum in it. It's literally toxic. We can say conclusively that what we see in the sky matches expressly what's outlined in numerous patents and the materials on the ground match those patterns. This material was not there 5 years ago. It is a recent phenomena in the quantities it's in.
So I've just froze the screen there. I'm not sure whether you can read that or not. I might be able to get a clearer one. But if you look at the top where it says matrix, it says sludge. So they haven't tested the water, they've tested the mud at the bottom of the pond. Okay? Now mud contains lots of aluminium, so the reading is misleading. This is aluminium oxide. Now you've been led to believe that this is very dangerous to your health. Okay, so I'm just going to leave this in. You can observe the bottle over the evening and see what happens to this. I'm going to put it over here. Okay, and I've got some in a little bottle here. Would anybody like to have a taste? Anybody? Anybody want to put their hand up and try some aluminium oxide? No? It's dangerous, isn't it? You've been told it's dangerous and it'll get into your brain. Yeah, that's what they're telling you. It's dangerous. Lovely. So let's go look at these figures again. Let's bring them up on the screen. 375,000. Can you read that there now? Can you see the bit that says sludge? That's what they were testing. They weren't testing water. 375,000. So to make that, to bring that down to parts per million, you knock the 3 noughts off. So the barium, 3,090, becomes 3 parts per billion, sorry, per million, in sludge. So the question is, what would it be in water? Yeah. Obviously, it's going to be a lot less, isn't it? Because the mud is highly concentrated. But the thing, what you don't know is that aluminium oxide isn't going to show up in water at all. Does anybody know why? It's not soluble, correct. So when they do the water tests, you're only going to find very small amounts of aluminium anyway. Now in the UK there's various groups, chemtrail groups, who've been doing water testing, but they don't seem to have put 2 and 2 together to realise that the results they're getting are normal. There aren't elevated levels of aluminium, and I've got some here that you can have a look. So this here is the rainwater test map, and it's Chemtrails Project UK. Okay, I can't get all of it on there, but they took samples and they've all come back and they've got the results of the aluminium, strontium, barium and other things. And let's take a look at some of the results. So, first one, the rain test in Rossshire, UK. Aluminium, you can read that, 20 parts per billion. So you divide that by 1,000, gives you the parts per million. So what's that going to work out? Move the decimal point back, 1, 2, 3 parts. It's 0.02 parts per million. That is a low test. Yeah, and I can show you lots more. Most of them are showing 20 or less. Negligible. Yeah? So we don't have elevated levels of aluminium in our water, in the rainfall. It's normal. And the other ones are very low as well. So if you look at the barium, under 10 parts per billion, and strontium, under 1/10 of a part. That's it, when it says milligrams, that's millionths of a gram. So that's less than 1/10 of a part per million. These are low. Let's have a look at what the safe levels are, what's actually permitted in our water. 7 Trent water. Okay, the UK standard for aluminium is 200 parts per billion. Yeah, so these are well below the maximum permitted. So we don't have elevated levels of aluminium, strontium or barium. So all this hoo-ha about aluminium oxide being a big problem, it doesn't dissolve in water. And when they say it's going to damage the plants, it's not, because it's not going to get taken up in the roots, because it don't dissolve in water. So they've got a big problem with that, but they're not acknowledging. In the same video. This guy did a pH test of the soil, and he lied. I'll have to show you a little video. The guy actually lied about the pH, and you can actually see on this video, because somebody's actually captured it, and it shows you what the pH colour is, and it's normal, but on screen they're lying. Okay, and in part 2, I've got some new evidence for you, further proof that you don't live on a ball. So I look forward to that. Have a nice cup of tea and come back. Good. Okay, now I don't know whether this audience was here for my presentation last year on the flat earth, but this presentation for the rest of this evening is going to be mostly about aviation, which shows that we do live on a flat earth. But let's just take a look. This is where you're told from a child. Yeah, every classroom has a globe when you're a child. But if you look at the globe, where is the only place, if we are on a ball, where is the only place that you can stand upright? At the North Pole. Yeah? But you're stood upright here, in the UK. Oops. Whatever that is on here. Just is there. So you should be stood out like that, but you're not. Yeah? So how can somebody on the North Pole and the South Pole both stand upright? It doesn't make sense, does it? When you get on an aeroplane, yeah, I've had lots of aeroplane journeys, mostly to Spain and the Canaries. When you go on a plane, it takes off. 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later, it reaches its cruising altitude, and the plane stays perfectly level for the remainder of the journey, apart from the last few miles when it comes down to land. But if you look on a ball, apart from on the North Pole, there's no way that a plane can ever fly level. It's either flying up, down, or skew whiff going across. It's not possible. I've been on lots of long cruises, not recently because I ain't got so much cash. But when you go on a cruise, a world cruise, the boat doesn't sail uphill. It doesn't sail downhill. It's not skewed to one side. But on a ball, it would have to be. How does a boat sail around the world without going up and downhill? It cannot.
Not yet, if it's flat.
Who said there's an edge? There may not necessarily be an edge. It might be an infinite plane for all we know. Nobody's been there, but Antarctica is off limits to all humans. It's guarded by the military because there's something there to see. So either it's an edge or it's an infinite plane. Yeah? Why would they stop people from going there? I can go Mount Everest and climb the Eiger Mountain, go to the most dangerous places on the world. Nobody's going to stop me. You go to try and get to Antarctica and there'll be armed boats to stop you going on. You can't go there. So let's look at some of the things that are associated with the flat earth. Satellites. Okay. Just a snapshot of the audience. How many of you think that satellites are real? Most of you. Okay. And how many do you think there are up in the sky? There's supposed to be as many as 40,000 satellites up in the sky, all on different trajectories. There's no air traffic control for satellites. Now, we've had these fibre optic cables, and they're still putting up masts for mobile phones all over the world. If satellites were real, these would be obsolete. There would be no need for them. And GPS is not using satellites, it's using ground-based triangulation. The only thing that's changed is they've incorporated computer systems on it. The USGS, the US Geological Survey, do you know what map it uses? It uses the flat Earth map. Let's take a look at some logos. Aviation Authority. Their logo is some wings around the flat Earth. Not the ball Earth, the flat Earth. United Nations. There's no Antarctica on it. Why might that be? IMO. Not sure which one that one is. Oh, sorry, the Maritime Organisation. That's C. the World Meteorological Organization, they're using the flat earth map. United Nations, we believe. United Nations, we believe the earth is flat. So the logos of air, sea and weather, yeah, they're all using the flat earth map, as is the USGS. They're not using the conventional map. People say, yeah, but I've been on a plane, I looked out of the window and I saw the curve. Let's take a look, shall we? This is from Concorde, out of the window. So you're looking out the window of Concorde. If the earth was a ball, yeah, and you're looking out of the window, you're going to be looking down to the horizon. But the horizon is always at eye level. It doesn't matter whether you're on the top of Mount Everest or on the ground, you'll see the horizon at your eye level. If it was a ball, you'd be looking down at the horizon as the earth curved down. On land, there we are, another aeroplane, flat, another horizon, another horizon. Some of these are at 100,000 feet and it's still flat as a pancake. Tops of buildings, that's off the top of Mount Everest, flat. Mount Everest, flat. 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 Everywhere you look, the earth is flat. Problem is, ever since you were a child, you've been conditioned to think that you live on a sphere. You never decided from your own research that you live on a sphere, but because you've had it drummed into you all these years, you accept it as a given. It's not even worth, it's a big joke. Flat earthers are some of the dumbest people on earth. We've even had President Obama, he's getting flat earth incorporated into his speeches now to try and make flat earthers look stupid. Okay, so I looked at cruises. This is a P&O round the world cruise, and that's where it shows on the conventional map. Yeah? And people say, well, you can't, how would you sail around the world on a flat earth map? Well, you can actually sail around the world on a flat earth map, and this is the route. So on the flat earth, the boat can sail level all the way round, and it's going around the world, but on the ball earth, it can't. This ball's supposed to be the truth, but on models, aviation, boats, humans, cars, doesn't work. If you look at the shape of the ball, if you were travelling from Scotland down to London on a ball, it would be downhill all the way. You wouldn't need to put any petrol in your car. You just use your brakes. But you don't. It's not downhill all the way because it's flat. Now, let's look at aviation. I'm going to show you this little, there's a route from Santiago to Sydney, and they've actually used John Travolta to publicise this so-called non-stop flight that flies all that way without stopping, and it's supposedly taking 14 hours and 12 hours on the way back. But you can't book it because myself and several friends on Facebook, we've actually gone through the motions of going onto the flight booking sites and tried to book these flights. We weren't going to pay for it, but we just wanted to see how far we could get. And you get so far, and then all the boxes grey out. Have you seen boxes greying out on the internet? So you can't press on it, and you can't get any further. So these flights are bogus.